I hate to say it, but his parents have been feeling unwell as of late, and I'm staying with them to help take care of Alex.
Oh, so it's serious.
Oh, no, it's not serious. Nothing terminal. It's just a touch of consumption.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome back to Horror Queers. We are joined by the director and the two stars of, my gosh, it's Ginger Snaps, celebrating its 25th anniversary and getting a new 4K release. So, folks, obviously, congratulations on the film. We would love for you to take us back 25 years and tell us what you're most proud of about the film.
Wow.
John.
What I'm most proud of. I think the thing that I'm most proud of about this, because there was so much of so much time and love and talent and friends, and this was a very small little work of love that that never really at the time, kind of after the Toronto Film Festival, never really got seen, and it really kind of just felt like there was a period of time where it just felt like it was dead, like no one was going to see it. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of is certainly the legacy of it, like the fact that it did eventually get picked up by HBO. People did see it. Reviewers loved it. The people were outspoken about it and about their love, and the fans that really kind of gave this thing its real life, and that this thing is still kind of gathering steam 25 years later is really incredible, because it was my baby. And so of course I'm just proud of it, and hope that it's still a kind of a can be a kind of a work of sort of inspiration for young filmmakers who are setting out at the beginning of their careers.
John, you mentioned in a new featurette on the 4K that when you were developing the film, you only liked one other werewolf film, which was An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
What was it about other werewolf films that didn't work for you? And what did you try to make different about Ginger Snaps when you were thinking about that?
Well, the werewolf genre is just inherently cheesy. It's like dude in a fursuit running around. And to be honest, I don't really kind of go for a lot of the like mythological aspects of the creature. Like a lot of my favorite genre is pretty grounded in horror. It's grounded in real life. It's not fantasy horror. It's not like I don't mind watching it, but I wouldn't make it myself. It's not fantasy sci-fi. It's stuff that feels like it could happen. And so I think that's what Ginger Snap sort of is.
Will say, Your Man in a Suit also looks incredible. Still holds up 25 years later.
Well, I think it looks really good in this new 4K release, because I put a lot of love into that, and made sure that you can see all the right things and not see the wrong things, if you know what I mean.
I mean, there's something to say about practical effects when we don't get that very often anymore, especially when it comes to
No.
creature films.
No, it's really true, and it's part of the charm of this is that you get to see. It's funny because I shot like a lot of that monster and then like cut 90% of it out of the movie because I was like, oh my God, you have to show less, show much less.
It's usually a good approach, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about how the film has gained this cult following over time, and obviously it's still resonating with fans old and new. But we're curious, maybe Emily, we'll start with you. Why do you think that this film still connects with audiences, both old and new, but also specifically we're looking for the girls and the gays, because that's really our target audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like for me at the time I made it, I was really frustrated by like the parts that I would audition for and like the movies that I would watch were always very prescriptive in terms of relationships. Like this is who your significant other should be. And in this case, like the significant other is a sister, and for me, like as a kid, it was like my best friend was my significant other. And that's always like very dismissed by our culture. Like that is not important. Like you need to move on to like your real serious relationship, which is obviously heterosexual, and then you know the whole like settle down and that whole narrative that is our mainstream. It's very still to this day like very enforced by a lot of our media.
Mm-hmm.
It just rings true for a lot of people, like whether you're part of the LGBTQ plus community or not. Like oftentimes there is a time in your life where you connect to, you know, a best friend or it could be a sibling, and that is like that's your love story at that time in your life, and that is like that's worth something. It's worth telling us that story of that, right? And so yeah, I think that's kind of why it's endured, is people still connect to that.
Yeah, I think just seeing the fans over the years, meeting them and talking to them, the amount of queer youth, trans youth, non-binary youth, people who were outcasts, people who were, bullied, and people who formed like one really strong relationship that was kind of the foundation of their sanity through their youth. This really spoke to them, and it was the same for Emily and I when we read it and when we were shooting it, is that we hadn't seen people like us reflected back in the media at that time. And to have that really meant something to us, and it really meant something to a lot of people, which, continues to build. And now, like, I was at a screening of it last fall, and there was just a lineup of like young queer kids after who were just telling me how much it meant to them. And like 17 years old. I was like, holy shit, like this is incredible. Like it's really still hitting the right way. And it's like there's nothing that I could be more grateful for than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also I think that, you know, it's interesting, aside the relationship between the two girls, and aside the fact that it's very female centric, is like even like when you look at the relationship with the Sam character, Sam and Bridget, you know, Sam is kind of set up as this sort of like bad boy drug dealer, and in any normal Hollywood movie, he would be the love interest.
Hmm.
And Bridget and him would like, you know, get intimate and share a kiss, and there would be some romance, and that was absolutely not what we wanted to do with this. Whether I was actively trying to kind of lean towards LGBTQ or not, it just didn't feel right. So I don't know that I was actively trying to say something with that character, but it felt like that's not just who she just that's not who she was. And so I think
Right.
that feels like a really it feels authentic as a relationship in the movie.
Well, and I think too, so going back to just kind of the following in general, because I feel like it's maybe you can contradict me on this. I don't think people like seek out to make a cult film. Like, and you don't really know if a film is going to have a cult following until like years down the line. So I guess for each of you, when did you realize like how big this following had become?
Years later.
Really? Okay.
We all felt like, no one cared at first, nobody really reacted. John was saying got crushed in the theater by, was it The Mummy Returns?
Mummy Returns.
Yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah, and it wasn't until years, like literal years later, that like kids on the street would stop me and talk about it. And then it just felt like it kept ramping up forever after that, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when
Yeah.
people would just stop us and say, like, who, like, you were in the, oh my God, like that movie was so awesome. Like, I don't know, just getting the recognition felt really awesome, really unexpected. I did not think that it, yeah, would get that kind of like slow burn type reception at all. And it's, yeah, just an amazing feeling to think that people got something out of watching it and connecting with these characters.
It was really like a number of reviewers back in that day that rescued it. There was the guy at Ain't It Cool News. I'm trying to remember his name.
Harry Knowles.
Harry Knowles. And he was the original like energy that like saw this and loved it and just wrote about it like crazy.
Mhm.
And there was another reviewer that saw it in a rep theater in New York City back in 2001 or 2002. Saw it, you know, at a Halloween screening, and suddenly his review had this crazy great review that wound up on the front page of the New York Times entertainment section. And literally like a week later, we had sold it then to HBO. But that was like 2 years later.
Yeah.
HBO played the crap out of it. And that's really in North America, that's how people saw it.
Yeah.
And that was just a slow burn. And that just felt like it, so really, very, very grateful to these early reviewers that saw it and loved it. And then HBO, obviously, who at some point in my life I would like to direct for. But I owe them. So, and then just getting the opportunity, someone going, "Hey, here's 12 million bucks. You want to make some sequels?" You're like, "Oh, maybe this movie is people like it." So just even that as an offer from Lionsgate to make sequels was a part of the legacy of this, and realizing that it was becoming bigger.
Okay, well, let's follow up on the sequels because I know we're talking about the original, but it's wild that you ended up making two other films back to back, and they're in completely different genres. We've got the kind of Psychiatric Institute one, which has its own cult fans, and I will say there's a queer following for obviously the ghost character. And then we've got the historical one, which I love as a Canadian because I think we're really interrogating colonial history and Indigenous content. And also, there's so many more werewolves, and they all look really good.
Yeah.
So
I really like the third one.
the third one is such an underrated gem. But I was wondering, can you tell us how the back-to-back production kind of came together and what it was like to revisit these characters and build new worlds with them?
Well, for me, it was really like Lionsgate they really wanted to make sequels, and they didn't want to just make one, they wanted to make two. And I was really like, I didn't want to direct it, but I was very, very interested in doing it because as long as we could create something that was different, like that we weren't just going to be riffing on the first movie, we were going to be
Right.
actively the same kind of mentality that we put into making the first one, which was make it as unique and as original as possible, went into these. And so my role on the sequels was really working on scripts. And then I shot some second unit, and hiring
Right.
the directors, but
Right.
but really focused on the screenplay and on the scripts. And that's kind of, it was pretty fun.
Was the decision to go back in time for the third one primarily because you realized, oh shit, we've killed Ginger. How do we get her back?
No, it was a thing of like always just subverting people's expectations. That's all it was. It was like no one's, what are we going to do for the third movie? It's like, well, let's do something. I just was absolutely about doing something that is not going to be the same as the other two. Like I want to do something that they're just going to go, "What?" And that just seemed like a fun thing to do. And because we were shooting in Edmonton, Alberta, we had access to this giant fort. And so part of the inspiration may have come from
They're
just
like, we got
like
a
the
cool location.
location.
Right around it.
Yeah.
I remember them talking about it. They're like, yeah, you guys are going to be in capes. You're going to have lots of smoke. We'll be in the fort. It'll be awesome.
And I also remember when we were making the second one, I really wanted, because Emily had been, her character in the first one is so like meek and kind of like hair in her face and like androgynous, like, is not like, and in the second one I really wanted to make her different. Like I wanted her, I
Yeah.
sort of wanted her to be like Linda Hamilton in the Terminator, and watch Emily do that version of Bridget. And so it was, yeah, it was always trying to kind of do stuff that was original and was challenging and wasn't going to be like derivative of the original.
I
Yeah,
think
it's a
that's
really stark transition for you, Emily. Just like that is a completely different character in the sequel.
Yes. I mean, I just loved all the werewolf makeup and the whole transformation thing. Like, and maybe it's not very subtle of me, but that is like the apotheosis of acting. So it's like you're completely transforming yourself into something that's not even human anymore. And I would like shock myself when I'd walk by the mirror and be like, "Oh, who is that person?" And yeah, so I just loved it. And yeah, I loved getting to do like all the action sequences and stuff with
You, you were
Bridget and
you were a badass.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be badass. I'm glad that happened for Bridget.
I do think too. I mean, because they are like wildly different films, all three of them, and I think that is good creatively. But I think you also run the risk of like, if fans are like, "Oh, I just want more of the same. I want the first one again," but not. And so, have you noticed anything different between the reception for the trilogy as a whole at the time, like in the 2000s, compared to now? Did the sequel and prequel get more love today, or has it kind of been good all around?
I think generally speaking, the second one was a little more well loved than the third one. Just seeing fan reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm proud of these three movies. Like I think it's really cool that we got a box set of them and I can stick it on my shelf and
Yeah.
and call it a trilogy. I think that's kind of really, really cool. And that we got to do more. Like, and that I got to hang out with these two more.
Okay, we're being asked to wrap up, but we can't leave it at that because now we're living in a world where we constantly get remakes and legacy sequels and that kind of stuff. So has there been any interest? Could we ever revisit this group of characters with a new title or something like that? Has there been any talk?
Well, the plan has always, in my mind, been to make an episodic television series. That is what
Okay.
that has been the driving goal for quite a while. It's been on a journey, but there is definitely that is not something that has ever dropped out of like that is a full thing that we're working on right now is to try and get a TV series to for people to see and to kind of like take the mythology into even expand it even further. To me, my passion is still in this show, and I think it's going to make a great television series.
So a dump trunk of money just comes to your door and they say, "Hey, y'all, all of you, let's make a Ginger Snaps TV show." Are all of you in?
Is it going to be Ginger Snaps menopause? Because in that case, I see a place for myself.
It's Ginger Snaps Bailey Downs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I could see Bridget being the kind of recluse lady who maybe comes out with some sage advice and she's still haunted by the ghost of her dead sister.
If we make a TV series, these two are both in it for sure.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again and congratulations on the 25th anniversary.
Yes.
It's great to see people are still finding the movie.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys
Joe.
so
Thank
much.
you.